Welcome to the My Brain, My Happiness podcast. My name is Joe, and on each episode, it is my goal to spread awareness on mental health. No, I'm not a therapist, a psychiatrist, or a medical doctor. I'm just a guy who has had a lifelong relationship with mental illness, specifically OCD. Together with you, I want to blow the roof off the stigma that comes with having a mental illness. You need to know you're not alone. I promise this podcast will be upbeat and positive. My goal with each episode is to make you understand that you don't have to take this on alone or in silence. Now let's change some lives. Hey, what's up? What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of My Brain, My Happiness. My name is Joe, and I am a fellow mental illness sufferer. I have OCD, depression, anxiety. Talk about it at the beginning of every single podcast that I do. Thanks for listening, if you are listening to the 15 or 20 people that do each episode. I really appreciate it. And like I said, if I could help one person with each episode or reach somebody and help somebody, it's worth it, right? No matter how many likes or follows or whatever I get. But I do put a lot of work into doing the research for the episodes that I'm going to do each week, and I really appreciate the fact that you guys are listening. So I'm settled in with my Diet Coke, and let's talk a little mental illness today. What I really want to talk about is mental illness and stigma that comes with mental illness. Can you imagine if there was no stigma that came with mental illness? Think about it. How many of you listening to me right now suffer from a mental illness or know someone that suffers from a mental illness? I bet everybody is nodding their heads. Yes, I bet you do, right? It's estimated, it's unbelievable that 20% of the world's population suffers from some sort of mental illness. 20% of billions of people. I can't even imagine. And still, with those staggering numbers, people don't want to talk about it because it is highly stigmatized. And you know what stigma even means? It means dishonor or disgraced. Are you fucking kidding me? And the reason is because we just lack this understanding of what is mental illness. And we're reluctant or ashamed to admit it. It's like, I understand it being embarrassing. When I was first having my intrusive thoughts, they were horrific. And I'm like, if I tell anybody what I'm thinking right now, they are going to lock me up and throw away the key. I mean, it was like, this is insanity. And I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what OCD was back then. I mean, you're talking, I don't know, mid-90s? I didn't know what. I thought I was just going fucking crazy. I'm like, who would think these thoughts? But anyway, I mean, it was because it really wasn't talked about back then. And so, you know, why is it stigmatized? Why is everybody so ashamed of this? And I'm going to give you an example, because I want you to really think about this. And even if you have a mental illness, I want you to think about this. Let's say your boss is retiring and they're going to have a party for your boss. And they've asked you to give a speech at your boss's retirement party. Now, the day comes and you wake up and you're sick with the flu. You got 103 temperature. You got a pounding headache. You feel like you're going to puke. You have no problem, I bet, picking up that phone, calling whoever you got to call and say, look, I know I'm supposed to be there tonight, but I can't because I had the flu. Okay. No problem. No problem. Now, same scenario. You wake up in the morning now. Your anxiety is through the roof. Your depression is going crazy. Your OCD is out of control. I don't care what it is. Whatever mental illness you have is flaring up, out of control, and you are in a bad place. Are you going to pick up the phone and make that same phone call and say, hey, I can't make it tonight. I'm sorry, but my anxiety, I have an anxiety disorder. I have depression. Or I have obsessive compulsive disorder, whatever it is. And it's really bad today. It's really bad. And there is no way that I can get up and give a speech tonight. It's just not possible for me to do. Are you going to make that same phone call? I know, and I will admit that I've never picked up the phone and called work and said, I can't come in today because my depression's high. And what's sad is that you should be able to, because it shouldn't be treated medically speaking, it should be treated differently. But from a compassion standpoint, from a I can't function standpoint, when you're whether you're sick, you're sick, whether it's with a physical ailment or whether you have mental illness. So, when I was doing the research for this episode, I was watching a particular TED Talk, and the person who gave the TED Talk brought up that scenario, and I was like, holy shit. I don't know. I know I wouldn't do it. And I'm the one who's always out here saying, we need to talk about mental illness. We need to bring it to the forefront, blah, blah, blah. And I get out here and I shout from the rooftops and I get on TikTok and I make videos and I know that I'm helping people. And I really feel like I was put on this earth to do more than I'm doing, which is why I'm doing these videos and why I do these podcasts, because I have my 9-to-5 job and it pays the bills, but it's not my passion. I have found a passion for wanting to help people, and there's some things that I still know that I wouldn't do, and I don't think that I could pick up the phone to tell someone that I can't come in today because my anxiety level is through the roof. And it's funny because, as we know, I'm not ashamed to talk about my mental illness, and even when I bring it up at work in a conversation, whether it's in a one-on-one with my boss or whatever, I could tell somebody that, I don't feel like I got a stomach issue. And they'd be like, do you need to go lay down, whatever. But if I tell somebody my anxiety's high or I've been battling with my depression, there's that awkward silence on the other side of the phone. Without fail, there's that awkward silence. And it's not fucking fair. It's not fair. It shouldn't be so uncomfortable for people to talk about it. There's other illnesses that have had stigmas with them. I can think of one serious one off the top of my head that came around in the 80s, and that was HIV, which led to AIDS. And why was it stigmatized? Because it was condensed to a certain population of people. It was condensed to mostly gay men or intravenous drug users. So if you ended up contracting HIV, there was already a label put on you that you must be gay or you must be an intravenous drug user. Now, there's nothing wrong with being gay. I want to make sure that I publicly say that right now. But back then, I mean, I think it's still hard for gay people probably to get their rights and find their footing. Not I think, I know, but I can't imagine what it was like for gay people back in the 80s when all this was going around, because people were getting fucking chastised for that way of life because they felt like they were spreading this disease that was killing people. But what happened? Well, there was this big advocate group that spoke up that said, we need to do something about this AIDS epidemic. We have to get this under control. So the federal government threw money at it. They had people start to research it, study it. They found out how the AIDS virus is formed. They were able to focus down to where, I don't know all the medical jargon, but bottom line is they knew what AIDS was, what caused it, why it did what it did, how it attacked the nervous system. And then, they came up with the first medication that really didn't do much. I already forgot what the name of it was. But anyway, but think about it. I think it was Arthur Ashe who died of AIDS in 1991, right? I'm sorry, in 1987. And then in 1991, Magic Johnson, that's just 4 years later, Magic Johnson got diagnosed with HIV. And here it is now, 2026. The guy's alive and doing better than ever. People are living long, healthy, happy lives because there was a movement to find out what was causing AIDS and how we could stop people from dying. It was unbelievable, right? Well, guess what is like the leading cause of death right now? It's like suicide, especially in adolescence. It's crazy, right? Depression, anxiety, all this stuff. It's so much to live in the world we live in today with a mental illness. It's overwhelming. But yet, there are doctors who put their lives, who dedicate their lives to studying mental illness, and they are still the most distrusted of all for their medical specialty. They are no one like the real doctor. I want to say real doctors, medical doctors just distrust psychiatrists, and there seems to be a push and pull there too, because I know psychiatrists hate it when medical doctors prescribe antidepressants because they say they're not a psychiatrist and then what have you. And I find it amazing because if it wasn't for my therapist and my psychiatrist, I don't know how I would function. I mean, I'm on a bunch of different medication and I didn't work on that with my primary doctor. I can tell you that. You know, there's no anti-cardiology movement going on, right? They're not trying to stamp out cardiology. But there was, and maybe still is, an anti-psychiatry movement, right? That claims that there is no such thing as mental illness, that there's no such thing as a chemical imbalance. Maybe there isn't. Maybe there's no such thing as a chemical imbalance, but mental illness is real. It is real. And when I was in the throes of OCD, intrusive thoughts, that shit was fucking real. And when I looked out online and I read about OCD and the top thoughts that you would have with OCD, you go right down the list. Yep. And when you find out you're not alone, wow. I mean, that opens up a whole new world. I actually felt like I got a lease on life and I got out of prison. Like all of a sudden I could live again because I wasn't alone. I didn't know that it was a thing. So it's important. It's important to just drop this stigma. It's important to realize that you don't need to be embarrassed about a mental illness. Your brain is the most complicated organ in your body. It weighs just over 3 pounds and has like over 100 billion neurons that do all kinds of shit. Your brain is like your control center. It is your hard drive. It makes your heart pump. Your body just functions because your brain tells it what to do. I mean, think about it. I got a Diet Coke in my hand right now. Now, I just picked it up without even thinking. Like, I didn't think about, hey, I want to pick up that Diet Coke can. I just picked it up because I wanted to take a sip. I mean, it's amazing just the different stuff that your brain can do. Everything, your emotions, whether you laugh, whether you cry, it's just, and if you don't take care of your brain, if you have a mental illness and you don't take care of that, it can physically harm you. Your brain can actually cause you physical ailments, ulcers, all kinds of high blood pressure, heart disease, because stress brings out all that shit. And once you start to let that happen, man, oh man, it can get out of control, and it can get out of control quick. So you got to stop fucking around. You got to stop, and you need to make sure that you take care of it. So if you're feeling something, say something. Please. I'm begging you. So, what else we want to talk about here when it comes to stigma of mental illness? Well, I can tell you this. So I talked about all the medication that I'm on, and there is all kinds of therapy, right? There's medication, there's exposure therapy, there's therapists and psychiatrists. Well, psychiatrists, I think, always are going to go towards the medication route. That's their thing, right? I mean, I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong, but I would think that, when you go to get mental health medication, you go to a psychiatrist. A therapist, cannot prescribe medication, but a psychiatrist can. But different treatment will work different for different people. Not everyone's going to get the same results. Maybe you won't find the right therapist at first. Medication, especially mental health medication, is trial and error. It's like a crapshoot, man. Like, you have to really work with a psychiatrist to dial that in and find the right dosage, find the right medication, really talk about your symptoms. And then if you're open and honest, then you could really get the help that you need. I find it shocking that in the 21st century, we have so many when we have so many treatments now, that people still suffer from a lack of awareness, lack of access to care, and still because of the stigma that comes with having a mental illness. Like I said, imagine if there was no stigma, right? Imagine the whole landscape could change. Early detection, intervention. There could be screening in place. They already have this stuff in place. They have the technology and the ability to do this, but there's no funding for it, right? And if you had this early screening and detection and intervention, those who were suspected that have mental illness could be referred. They could be referred to a clinic maybe or some other specialist, somebody that could really help them. And maybe we could start to stop the atrocities that happen in this world from people who their mental illness has just gotten out of control. And we call them monsters. And I get it. There has been some horrible things done, and I'm making no excuses for these people. But in almost all these cases, there was recognizable mental problems, and nobody said a fucking word. Nobody said a word. I live in Connecticut, and, Adam Lanza shot up Sandy Hook. And there's been so many stories that have come out, but the lead up to that is fucking disgusting, right? It's disgusting. And then all those children that got killed and teachers, but there was signs. There were signs that people just ignored. And I'm going to tell you something. That really pisses me off, because nothing upsets me more than children being killed. I am disgusted with the fact that our kids go to school and that it should be their safe haven. And it's not. And they're learning, mass shooting drills and all kinds of shit. It's scary. It's scary. And it's because of the whole climate of our world has changed. Mental illness is more prevalent than ever. And we're doing not a whole lot to get this shit under control. And if we could have early detection, maybe we could stop a person from suffering. Did you know that the average person will suffer from depression for like 7 years before they will even say anything? Before they'll seek any treatment, they will battle it for an average of 7 years. They go, hey, how long has it been going on? No, it's been going on for years now. Because they don't want to admit it. They're afraid. They're afraid that people are going to think they're crazy. And it's amazing to me when I opened up about my mental illness, when I get out here and I open up to you, there's people listening to this podcast that have no idea who I am. They've never met me. And I'm telling you everything about me, right? I've talked to you about all my mental illness and stuff. Like when I'm talking about OCD, I had thoughts of like that I was going to murder people. I had, disgusting sexual, intrusive thoughts. And these are all, if you look at OCD, intrusive thoughts, they're all common. Like you think you're going crazy. You're like, what kind of person thinks this shit? Like, why is this popping in my head? What the hell is wrong with me? Yeah, I'm not like this. And it wasn't until I realized that I control my thoughts do not control me. And once I stopped fighting my thoughts, and I mentioned that in the last another episode, I just don't fight my intrusive thoughts anymore. If they pop in, I just let myself think them. Whatever. I'm not going to do anything. Just because I'm thinking it doesn't mean it's going to happen. And so it kind of went away. I mean, I take medication, but I mean, it was like years of therapy and research and finding some tools in the tool belt to be able to deal with it. But I spoke up. I went to the doctor one time in tears because I thought I had pancreatic cancer. I was like, I don't know, 25. I don't even know how old I was. I was young. I'm 56 now. And I remember the doctor saying, you know what, Joe, I've seen a lot of people with pancreatic cancer, and it's a terrible disease. And I have to say, you don't look like any of them. But it was my primary doctor who did recognize first, ironically, because I was just complaining about earlier, who recognized first that I had a problem with a mental illness. But apparently he was more of an open doctor. He has since retired. But he was the first one to recognize it. And it just would be great. If we had screening and stuff like that, or what I was talking about, maybe women wouldn't experience pre or postpartum depression as much. I don't know if I talked about it, but they also have, when I was in the mental hospital back in 2016, when I had my breakdown, another thing you may or may not know about me, they actually did a blood test. They were doing blood tests on people. You could volunteer to do it, and based on your condition, they would run the blood test, whatever. It was like a DNA test, and it would determine what it would thought was the best medication for you, what your body would absorb and tolerate the best based on your blood type. I thought that was really cool. Now, I don't remember I don't remember what the results of that was for me. If they told me at all, I have no idea. And there's a lot of people out there. We're always screaming about the cost of healthcare right now. But did you know that most experts will tell you, right? Most healthcare experts will tell you that they have found that this screening and intervention actually reduces the cost of healthcare. Because you're getting help ahead of time. Because like I said, your brain can make your body feel anything. So you can make yourself sick by thinking it. And so people call in sick and they go to the doctors people go to the emergency room because they're having a panic attack. They think they're having a heart attack. I know I've ended up in the emergency room thinking I was having a heart attack. That all started when I was a teenager. But if I had just realized what panic attacks were back then and I was getting treatment for it, I wouldn't be there. But there are people who end up in the emergency room every single day with panic attacks, thinking they're dying. Okay? So I'm going to ask you, how do we stop the suffering? How do we drop the stigma? We have to recognize mental illness for what it is. A medical condition that can be treated. Period. And if someone you know shows signs of it, go ahead and ask them if they're okay. If they're not acting themselves, it's okay to go up to them in person, to him and her, and say, "You all right? Is everything okay?" If they were grabbing their back or whatever, grabbing their chest, you'd probably, without even, no questions asked, you'd be like, "You all right? You okay? Sit down here. Let me get you some water." But someone could be acting a little goofy, a little off, and nobody wants to say a word. They're afraid. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Go up there and talk to that person. Compassion is the best thing that we can do. Show some compassion. Muster up. Find the muster and mental the will. That didn't sound right. I want you to ask you to find yourself the will to reach out to people, raise awareness, and let's put an end to the stigma of mental illness. Sorry about that little goof up at the end. I was reading my notes and I just wrote things out of order there, so I apologize. But let's stop this stigma and let's be kind to one another. Tell your loved ones that you love them. And thanks again for listening to My Brain, My Happiness. My name is Joe. Peace, and I love you.